As wildfires continue to devastate California, experts say the flames are burning at higher elevations. Several fires, including the Caldor fire south of Lake Tahoe, have destroyed more than 2 million acres of land in California this year. The destruction is prompting state lawmakers to take action against climate change. Yesterday, Democratic Governor Gavin Newsoms signed a $15 billion package to help combat drought and climate change in the state.
Traditions, lifestyle, people, places wiped off the map. That's what climate is about. This pollution blanket we put up in the air. The question is, will these trees survive us? And our neglect, our arrogance, and our ways, our way of life, to future-proof California. And that's what this bill begins to do. Not just to climate-proof, but to future-proof California. To make us more resilient, make us more capable of addressing these extreme heat.
All right, let's bring in Tim Sheehy. He's a pilot and the CEO of Bridger Aerospace, which is helping to fight those fires. He's also the CEO of Ascent Vision Technologies. Tim, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So what did you make of Governor Newsom and what he said about climate change? And what do you hope comes from this $15 billion package?
Ultimately, what he's doing is finally bringing the necessary legislative and government focus to the wildland fire issue, which has been plaguing the U.S. for decades. And how we've addressed it has really been antiquated in an incremental approach that is underfunded, under-resourced, undermanned, and put the entire situation into a category where we're always reacting to the fires instead of being prepared for them ahead of time. So it's great to see at least one of our state leaders now stepping up and providing the proper amount of funding and resources to address the issue.
Yeah, that's been the refrain that we've heard from folks like yourself over the course of the last couple of years, is that we're very reactive and we're not proactive about handling the situation. Your company, Bridger Aerospace, currently has teams and planes that are battling the Caldor, the Dixie, the river wildfires. Give us a sense of just what your crews are facing out there and what have they seen? I know that you guys have been doing this for a long time. What have they seen over the course of these past couple of years that's changed with the way the fires are behaving? If I can just say that fires don't behave, but how the fires are spreading. They're not conscious beings, but you get what I'm saying.
No, actually, fire behavior is a technical term we do use. So you were right the first time. So
all right.
Fire behavior is how we describe how the fire behaves every day, because it can change based on the fuel types, the terrain. Some fires are wind-driven. The wind is pushing them in what direction they're going. Some of them are terrain and fuel-driven, sometimes a combination of both. But fundamentally, what you're seeing is longer seasons, more intense seasons. As you see the drought in the West, especially as far west as California and the Southwest, the fuels, it's just a tinderbox. That relative humidity in the air and the moisture level in the grasses and the trees is at the point where at times you have explosive fuel types. And it just takes a spark or a small flame to ignite what becomes a wildfire. And what the ground crews are facing is really a scenario where they're reacting to a fire that is becoming an inferno, creates its own weather system, and really becomes a juggernaut of natural energy. And they're doing their best to corral it. They're not really able to put it out. They're trying to corral it in a way that it's not going to take out structures. It's not going to injure large amounts of people. It's not going to destroy infrastructure. But you can't really smother a fire like this, especially one like the Caldor or the Dixie, where you're talking about hundreds of thousands of acres. You just got to do your best to ensure it's going to do the least amount of damage to important infrastructure as possible.
Tim, I wonder also if there's been any, I note that Native Americans for years before the advent of modern technology had figured out ways to control wildfires. They perhaps were not as hot and as widespread as they are today because of climate change, but they did have some proven techniques that they employed. Do we use some of those techniques, or have we sort of put those aside? And perhaps that's one of the things that needs to be looked at again.
We absolutely do use some of those, not enough of them. And that's part of how this crisis has evolved to where it is. There's so many different factors, from climate change to wildland-urban interface. We're building things that we didn't, and living where we didn't used to live in the mountains. And then, as you said, wildland forest management. And that means allowing fires to burn. Ecosystems are meant to burn every 5 to 15 years. That keeps the forest healthy. It clears out the underbrush. It clears out the deadwood. And for a long time, we prevented those fires from burning naturally. And as a result, that natural fuel buildup has gotten to the point where it can create an explosive scenario. So getting back to more what we call prescribed burns that put more natural fire into the forest, managing those burns ourselves to ensure they're happening the right way, but also ensuring we have the ability to have a very quick full suppression initial attack capability, because although we want natural burns to happen, we don't want a campfire in 2018 burning an entire town to the ground, killing hundreds of people. We need to be able to address those fires quickly, put them out quickly, and save lives. So it's really a two-pronged strategy of more aggressive natural fires to have better forest management, but then also having the muscle and the capability in our back pocket to very quickly attack those fires early while they're still small, before they get out of control and potentially kill hundreds of people.
So let's talk about some of the new technology. Over the summer, fire officials introduced this new weapon, so to speak, to battle the flames. It's a large helicopter. It's a Chinook, which is not a new type of helicopter, but the role that it's playing now and the technology that is being employed to fight these wildfires is. Explain it to me.
So the Chinook is obviously a military helicopter. It's been in use for firefighting for decades. The one you have on your screen there from Colson is a new type of drop system they've developed for that specific airframe. But to see the type of aircraft we have available now in the U.S., we don't have enough of them yet. The government is working on that. California's been leaning forward more than most. The key is we need more aircraft. And you can't have one big giant aircraft like the 747 and expect that to cover the whole country. You need a lot of aircraft spread out so that they're ready to respond quickly. The Chinook's a great example of that. The other aircraft you showed are as well. The one behind me is called a Super Scooper. That's what we operate. And that's a fixed wing aircraft that scoops water and drops it on the fire. These type of aircraft being spread around the country and empowering those aircraft with imaging, infrared imaging, satellite imaging, and data collection that can more optimally manage our resources around the country is going to let us have more resources in the field and use them more effectively, so we don't have aircraft sitting in one state doing nothing when another state needs them so desperately. And that happens quite often. So optimizing that national resource management so we have more assets and those assets used more efficiently will give us a much stronger initial attack and aerial suppression capability. Because after all, when a fire does start, it takes days sometimes to get all the ground crews in place. Your best bet to get that fire early is from the air. We can get there fast, we can get on target quickly.
So obviously wildfires are unpredictable, and the crews that battle them risk their lives almost every time that they go into that battle. What's the typical, I mean, first of all, what kind of mental toll does it take on you and others like you and at your organization and others as you see these fires growing and becoming larger every single year? And also, what's sort of the typical profile of somebody who wants to join an organization like yours? What's sort of the right stuff that it takes to be a firefighter at the scale that you guys are fighting fires?
Well, not surprisingly, a lot of our team members, both in our company, other companies, and on the ground units, a lot of former military, a lot of folks like myself served in Iraq or Afghanistan, or both got out of the military and wanted to continue a life of service. And you see that a lot in the firefighting community, both on the ground and in the air. So that's an important and common demographic. You also have a lot of younger individuals, especially on the ground side, that came out of, that they're backcountry skiers, they're ski patrollers, they're backcountry guides, and they realize that the nature and the environment they love to spend so much time in is at risk, and they have a passion for the outdoors, they have a passion for the natural world, and they've gone into the ground firefighting realm. And on the air side, in addition to military, you get a lot of bush pals from Alaska. They have experience flying in uncharted extreme conditions in the backcountry, and they're a great fit for firefighting. So you really do have a unique kind of ecosystem of people, but they're all definitely united in their desire to serve. And I think the mental toll question you asked is very valid, because some days you can be flying mission after mission after mission. The ground teams, they could be in the field for days and weeks on end. And especially when you overlay, the COVID on top of that for the past year and the stresses that COVID's placed on really any workplace, it's been a tough couple of years for the wildland firefighting community, especially considering they're traditionally an undermanned, underfunded community. It's been a tough time to get enough people to do the job, and then those who are there to do the job are getting overused. A lot of travel going from California to Montana to Washington to Arizona and back again. So it's been a tough time, but by and large, the community's been doing a great job. Trying to leverage some of that new technology you mentioned is going to be key to ensure that we're ready to meet this challenge in the next 5 to 10 years, because it's going to take time to build up our staff and our budgets and our aircraft fleets to where they need to be And in that gap is going to be a long few years, and we're going to have to leverage every advantage we can find to meet the threat.
It sounds like a fascinating career, and we're obviously so grateful to you and others like you who do the job. I love what you said about wanting to continue to serve, which is so admirable. I guess maybe, Tim, you guys need something like, you know, remember when we were kids and Top Gun came out and all of a sudden Navy recruitment went through the roof? You probably need like some kind of a big Hollywood production. You could probably star in it yourself, and you know, then all of a sudden you wouldn't be undermanned.
Yeah, I'll give Tom Cruise a call after this, and we'll make it happen.
Very cool. Tim Sheehy, thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate it. Thanks for all you do.
Thanks for your time.